Prime Minister who helped create the modern Conservative Party, though he did go on to split it. A social and economic reformer, he founded the Metropolitan Police and was a pillar of the early 19th century establishment. And his home is now a theme park. To be fair, when Sir Robert Peel lived here at Drayton Manor, it all looked rather different. But there is something rather symbolic about this setting for the man who sent so many shockwaves through British political life.
And on this rather rainy day in Staffordshire, it would seem that some of Peel's dauntless spirit lives on here, well, for some visitors at least. The traditional view of Peel is as the man who rebranded the anti-reform Tory party as moderate Conservatives, bringing the party back from electoral oblivion in 1832 to a dramatic victory 9 years later. But some historians dispute the scale of his part in all this.
I think I'm going to have a go at this. Thank you. Right. What is agreed, though, is that the defining moment of Peel's political career came during the mid-1840s, when he took on his own party over the protectionist Corn Laws. Putting country before party, he forced through their repeal, but split the Conservatives, ending his own government and premiership. Robert Peel moved to the Midlands as a boy, but he was born in Lancashire, where his family had made a fortune in cotton. His father had political aspirations and moved to Tamworth, becoming the local Tory MP. As a party donor, he received a baronetcy, and he built a home here at Drayton Manor. The young Robert went riding and rambling in the countryside around Drayton. He attended Harrow alongside Lord Byron and then Oxford. Like his father, Robert Peel had political aspirations. This was the era of the rotten boroughs, and Peel's father helped him acquire a seat in Parliament. In 1809, aged just 21, he became the MP for Cashel in Ireland.
A keen unionist with little sympathy for the civil rights of Catholics, Peel became known as Orange Peel. Which is why it was such a shock to his supporters 20 years later, when as Home Secretary he helped the Duke of Wellington pass Catholic emancipation, a reform giving Catholics equal civic rights. For many staunchly religious Anglicans and supporters of Britain's Protestant constitution, this was an extraordinary act of treachery and betrayal. Effigies of Peel were burnt in protest. When Peel tried to get re-elected as an MP for Oxford University, he was roundly defeated by an ultra-Protestant Tory and forced to find another seat. At his old college in Oxford, furious undergraduates hammered "No Peel" into a door in the hall staircase, graffiti which can still be seen today.
As Home Secretary during the 1820s, Peel set about reforming criminal law, which had developed in a hodgepodge way over the centuries. He also reduced the number of offences that carried the death penalty. His lasting achievement was setting up the Metropolitan Police.
Various parochial and night watches patrolled London, but their powers were limited. Peel set up a unified force to keep order. The policemen became known as bobbies or peelers after their founder.
Catholic emancipation caused a major split in the Tory party, enabling the Whigs to get into power after almost 25 years of opposition. And with them came the issue of political reform. At this time, very few people could vote in general elections, and many large industrial towns like Manchester and Birmingham had no MPs.
By now, Peel had inherited the Tamworth seat and the baronetcy from his father. As leader of the Tory opposition in the Commons, he objected to measures to widen the franchise but did eventually accept the Great Reform Act of 1832. Peel commissioned the architect Robert Smirke to build him a grand new house at Drayton Bassett. Drayton Manor had the latest in mod cons, with space to house some of Peel's art collection.
But all that remains of that house today is this clock tower, which now graces the entrance to the theme park. The Tory party was reduced to a complete rump in the election of 1832. But these were turbulent times and the Whigs were having their own problems, especially over Ireland. In November 1834, the King controversially dismissed the Whig government and asked Peel to become Prime Minister instead. Peel saw the chance to consolidate his own party and to draw in some of the disaffected Whigs. He published the Tamworth Manifesto in December 1834. Addressed to his own constituents, local legend says that he declaimed it here at the old town hall. In fact, he was rather too busy for that, setting up his new government in London. The manifesto was published in the national newspapers, though, and it caused a sensation.
It appealed to that class of society that was far less interested in the contentions of party than the maintenance of order and the cause of good government. The manifesto laid the basis for the modern Conservative Party and helped Peel's party to win 270 seats at the 1835 election, almost 41% of MPs. He still didn't have a majority, though, and faced a titanic battle in the Commons against the Liberal leader Lord John Russell and his radical and Irish allies. After 3 defeats in 1 week, Peel resigned in April 1835.
Over the next few years in opposition, Peel continued to build up the Conservative Party, winning even more seats at the 1837 general election. But he wasn't really a party man. He was rather shy and could appear cold. He had little time for the traditional Tories of the shires, the Sir Bufton Tuftons with their hunting and shooting and eating and drinking, as he scornfully put it. He himself admitted that he lacked the essential qualities, the club ability, to get on with party members, as events were later to prove. Here's a portrait of Sir Robert Peel in the old town hall at Tamworth. Now, the Conservatives returned to power in 1841 with a comfortable majority of 76. And Peel brought in measures which transformed British society.
The Mines Act of 1842 banned the employment of women and children underground. The Factories Act of 1844 limited children's working hours. But this was also a time of economic crisis. Peel's greatest challenge came when he decided to repeal the Corn Laws, which had been introduced to protect British agriculture from cheap foreign imports. The Anti-Corn Law League, led by Richard Cobden, had turned this issue into a mass popular campaign with nationwide demands for cheaper bread. Peel also needed to free up food to send to Ireland, where a potato famine was raging. It's estimated that 1 million people died in the Irish famine.
Peel was acting for humanitarian and economic reasons, but the landowners in his party saw it as a direct attack on them. Debate raged for months. Eventually, in June 1846, Peel managed to push the measure through with the help of the Liberal opposition. On the same day, he was defeated on another bill and stepped down as Prime Minister.
He died 4 years later after being badly injured in a riding accident. And what became of Drayton Manor? Well, Peel's grandson frittered away the family fortune. The contents of the house, and eventually the house itself, were sold. The manor itself was demolished in the 1920s. After the Second World War, the site was bought by the Bryan family, who opened Drayton Manor theme park here.
Another twist in the tale of the Prime Minister who put duty before party and whose most lasting legacy was the bobby on the beat.